I'm Jim Winkler. Today I want to talk about frame construction in leather furniture. Give you a pecking order and explain a little bit about some of the terms that are used in the furniture industry. At the top end, 8-way hand-tied suspension. This is considered the best in the industry. What that is, this is a small mock-up of that. I'm not sure if you can see it that well, but it's a large coil spring, dual cone, and it sits on steel banding. Where that is on a piece of furniture is at the bottom here. The coils are set inside the frame. They fill this whole cavity depth here, and underneath the frame it's steel banded horizontally and vertically, and the springs sit on the cross bands where those bands meet horizontally and vertically, and there's crimp to that. There's a total of 9 springs under each seat deck. There's 3 deep and 3 wide. Some manufacturers go 4 deep, but 3 is kind of standard in the industry. That's considered the very best. It's tied in 8 different directions by hand. They use a wax polypropylene twine so it doesn't rot, and it's tied off in 8 different directions. It allows that spring just to move up and down and not roll. You get the best comfort and ride out of an 8-way hand-tied piece of furniture. That technique has been in the industry for many, many, many years, and it's still the benchmark of quality. From there, drop coil. Drop coil is a unit that is a wired unit. It looks like a box spring that you might find in a bed, and it's screwed on top of the frame deck. So it sits here, and they set it down in there. The only difference between that and 8-way hand-tied is it's a smaller spring unit. The coils are about half the size, and they're single cone. They're larger at top, and they go to a small cone at the bottom. There's not as much ride or travel in a drop-in unit, but it's still a very, very good unit. Not as expensive to do as an 8-way hand-tied system that has the individual steel springs, but you still get a nice ride and comfort out of that. That would be your second best in the industry. Sometimes manufacturers will 8-way hand-tie a drop-in unit. That is really for effect. The unit comes from the supplier wire-tied already, so putting the strings or the twine on it really doesn't do anything, but allows the manufacturer to say they have an 8-way hand-tie. So if you hear the term 8-way hand-tie drop-in, that's what that is. It's not the true 8-way hand-tied spring, but it's still a good unit. From there, S-spring or no-sag spring. No-sag spring is just a branded S-spring. What that is, it's an S-shaped spring that goes from the front to the back of the unit. You'll find that typically in fabric furniture, although leather manufacturers use it also. It can be a very good system. It depends on the gauge of wire that's used and how close the springs are put together. If they put them at just an inch or 2 apart, you're going to get a lot of support there. If they put them far apart, you'll get a kind of a bucketing effect where you feel like you're getting pitched into the center of the cushion or to the other side. And the thickness of the spring makes a huge difference there. The next down from there would be Pirelli webbing. Pirelli webbing is a European method of suspension. It's popular with Italian furniture many, many years ago. Although U.S. manufacturers have adopted it, it's a rubber elastic system. It sits on top of the frame itself. It's also runs vertically and horizontally. It's more like a strap, kind of like a lawn chair, how they interwove it, but it's made out of an elastic system. The thing with Pirelli webbing is it does soften over time. You don't get the support or the ride out of the cushion or the suspension as you would a spring unit. The Pirelli webbing will get softer. If you have a favorite spot you sit on the furniture, you'll tend to notice it gets softer there. It doesn't have recoil like a spring will. It's used by some manufacturers. Some companies will put it in the backs. They'll use it for ottoman tops, and they'll also use it for the seat suspension. But it's the lower range of quality. And that's really about it. Other than that, there's differences in frame construction. A better manufacturer that uses an 8-way hand-tied system like this, we use a very thick frame. It's going to be made out of hardwoods, ash, maple, oak, be a 5/4 inch rail stock. They start with a 3/4 inch, then go 4/4, which is 1 inch, and then 5/4, which is 1 1/4. 5/4 is your probably benchmark of quality for frame. A sofa made that way with an 8-way hand-tie suspension will be very, very heavy. One way to tell a piece of furniture when you're shopping is maybe to see if you can pick up the end of it and see how heavy it is. If it's very heavy, it's probably how it's built. Manufacturers that use a no-sag suspension will tend to go to a cheaper frame. Some will use a 3/4 inch, some will use a 4/4. A 4/4 frame is fine if it's built out of hardwoods and it's doubled down and corner blocked and screwed and reinforced into the joints. It'll last. Some manufacturers have gone to even a plywood frame. If it's a 10 or 12 plywood and it's tendon and mortise joints, it can be very, very strong. Some high-end manufacturers have gone to that system and gotten away from the solid rail stock pieces of furniture. The other thing to look for in furniture is a type of cushioning. A good quality cushion will have zippers on it, and the cushion will come off the furniture. You'll want to see a ticking inside the leather itself. If you see this, it's usually a good quality sign that there's something good inside. This particular cushion has springs inside the cushion also. There's 30 to 35 little coils inside, kind of like a mattress in a bed, encased in the foam, and it's feather and down wrapped with a little fiber, and it's zippered inside its own ticking. And this protects it from the leather from wearing down over time. Also, your backs, the same way. Good quality piece of furniture, the back pillows will come off. They'll be zippered also. They'll have little enclosures to protect the zipper casing so it doesn't scratch the areas. And there will be a ticking inside. Here again is a muslin ticking, kind of like a pillowcase. They channel it horizontally to keep the fill from settling. And it's filled with fiber, down, and feather to create comfort. Some manufacturers will attach the seat cushions and the back cushions to the frame where you can't take them off. That's usually a sign that it's not a real high-end piece of furniture, but it doesn't mean it's a bad piece of furniture. You can save on manufacturing costs because you don't have leather in between the sides and the bottom, and you don't have to take this denim. It's all sewn to the frame. When you have to Velcro and zipper things independently, it is more expensive to build it that way, but it's an added benefit to the consumer because you can take the cushions off the furniture, you can vacuum under here, because stuff falls down here all the time. You can get something repaired very easily. If something got damaged, the cushion comes off and it can be done basically in the home level. You want to replace the fill over time, so you've had this piece 10 years in your home. This has gotten soft. You can actually unzip this, and a bag can be cut open, more fill put in, or just entirely, this whole thing can come out and you can replace it if you want. So that's a nice feature. But those are some of the things to look for when you're shopping for leather. Get a hardwood frame, get spring suspension. If it's in your budget, it'll last you a long time. Thank you for listening.